How can you generate income during retirement? That's the topic we're going to be diving into today because the world has changed dramatically for pensioners. 20 years ago, you had to take an annuity before pension freedoms, and obviously everybody had a fixed annuity for the rest of their life. So I'm here to break down the topic today and give you some ideas and potential options for you to explore with ourselves or another financial advisor. Before we get into today's video, I would just like to say the biggest thank you can do to myself and the team here at Cameron James is to hit the subscribe button below. Currently, only 11% of people watching the channel are subscribed to our videos, which means on a weekly basis, around 89% of people are not subscribed to the channel. Please quickly hit subscribe. You'll understand our new content, and we promise as our subscribers increase, we will invest more money and resources into the channel to make it even better for you guys. So, income and retirement. We hear this a lot when people come through. Typically speaking, our demographic between 50, 55, 60, people come through because they want to understand and start researching their financial plan for retirement. A lot of people say, Dominic, I want a consistent income throughout my retirement. But when you actually go a level deeper with them, they don't. So for example, if they want a guaranteed income or a reliable income for the rest of their life, if they're inside a defined benefit scheme, they should almost certainly stay there because that's what you have. You have a defined, guaranteed, safeguarded asset for the rest of your life. For anybody who has a SIP or a defined contribution scheme, if you really want a defined income and guaranteed income for life, you should really be going and purchasing an annuity on the open market. However, when you talk clients through the annuity options and when you talk back the rate of returns and you calculate it for them, a lot of clients, they're not so impressed in terms of taking annuities because let's be honest, nobody in finance works for free. Say you have £250,000 and you want to give it to an annuity provider, if they're going to guarantee to pay you an amount for the rest of your life, they would have done the maths at rocket science level of working out how they make sure they don't lose out on the transaction and make enough money. So here at Cameron James, the strategy that I've seen work best for the majority of clients, as long as it's inside their risk profile, is to actually hold a globally diversified equity portfolio, let it do its thing, and withdraw your money from your pension pot. Now, the first question from clients, okay, so what amount will I get each year? No, it doesn't work like that. If you look at the financial markets over the course of the past 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years, you will see that equity markets generally go in an upward trend. However, volatility along the way, .com, financial crisis 2028, COVID 2020, Trump tariffs 2025, which is still very fresh for many of you now. You have to understand that over those course of time, things are going to go up and down, but you cannot control that. You cannot control the markets, you cannot control Trump, you cannot control COVID-19. But even with all of these events, the S&P 500, generally speaking, over the course 100 years or so, well, not been going that long, over the course of the previous decades, has a general return of towards 10% per annum. If you extrapolate that out across all global markets for as long as they've been going, the returns are similar. But this obviously comes with risk. You are investing into the stock market. If you invested into the stock market £1 million 1 week before Trump did his tariffs, ouch. You're going to have a 10, 15, 20, 25% drop, whatever it reaches. At the time of recording, his tariffs are still coming out. But you have to understand that right from the beginning. And this is why cash flow planning is so important. Here at Cameron James, we use Voyant cash flow planning. We actually have 3 licenses now. Voyant UK, we use for our UK resident clients. Voyant Global, we use for non-UK or non-USA clients. And Voyant US, we use for our US clients. One of the very first things we do with our clients say, look, okay, the performance of our portfolio has been XYZ over 5 years. The general trend of the equity markets has been up. But what if you get super unlucky, Mr. Client? What if on the first day of your retirement or the first day you start your policy, there's a 25% correction in the market over the following 2 weeks? How is that going to leave you in retirement? So we model all that in as a worst case scenario. Now, a lot of you will be saying, God, Dominic, all I wanted was a guaranteed income. Why are you talking about markets going down? Why are you talking about things happening? Because this is the truth. And this is what happens. And any financial advisors who shy away from the fact that markets can drop like a stone, Trump tariff 2 days in a row, circa 5% loss on the S&P 500 or 4.84% loss on the S&P 500. It happens and it will happen during your retirement. You need to mentally be prepared for these things happening. So back to the point of a guaranteed income. Say you had, let's take an example, the £1 million and you put it into an equity portfolio. If you get an average level of return over the course of 20 years of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10%, you would have been able to complete your drawdowns. You could complete the same fixed drawdown every single year if you want. Say £50,000 or whatever it might be. And yes, of course, you could say you want to be, when markets are doing very well and they're high, you want to take a little bit more. When markets are at a low point and in the middle of a dip, such as Trump's tariffs, maybe you won't take that £50,000. Maybe you'll use your savings accounts a little bit more and wait until the markets recover. But in effect, you can set up a guaranteed income, because equity markets, globally diversified portfolio, is one of the best portfolio strategies for growing your capital over the long term. And when it comes to taking a fixed income or taking a fixed amount that you want from your pension pot, if the pension pot is growing over the long term, you're in a very good position to be able to continue taking money from that pension pot over the course of time. Of course, you could do other things with the money as well. You could take the £1 million and go and invest in property and start renting it out and become a landlord. But the whole point of retirement is that you're meant to retire. So many of my clients, non-UK residents, UK residents, they are sick to the back teeth of their buy-to-let portfolios. 10, 15, 20 years ago, brilliant. Now they are sick of them. They don't want to call British Gas anymore. They don't want to speak to the builders. They don't want a leak in the roof. You're off on holiday trying to enjoy yourself or enjoy your retirement, and suddenly you have a big problem. Now, not that I'm anti-buy-to-lets, but I just see from my experience in my client bank, the majority of my clients, if they were offered a half-decent market price for their buy-to-lets, they would get shot of them straight away, particularly for non-UK residents, since we had the long-term non-UK resident rules, which came out on the 5th of April 2025, which effectively means for anybody who's been out of the UK for 10 years or more, non-UK assets will no longer form part of their estate under previous domicility rules, which ran up until the 5th of April 2025. We have another video specifically on that on the channel, which my team can put above for you. So if you have any questions about this, if the idea of being invested in the equity market scares you and you think, well, that's not a guaranteed return, then very well, an annuity provider might be better for you, but reach out and have a conversation first to make educated and informed decisions on your UK financial planning and non-UK financial planning. And as always, take care with UK pension assets.